This conference will now be recorded.
You can see my screen, right?
Yes, I can see.
Okay. So today, basically, we will dive into a little bit of configuration management. How do we manage things in Azure using PowerShell, which is using CLI and all we'll see. So automation, we'll see how to automate, how to create VMs and other things using PowerShell, and how to do some automation using PowerShell DSC and custom script execution and all, and a little bit of debugging. Like debugging is more from a developer's point of view, like how a person who is deploying his code from his local Visual Studio into Azure, how he's going to do the debugging, the remote debugging. We'll see into that.
Okay.
So if I use this highlighter, then my pointer is not working. Okay, so we will look into command line interface, that is the CLI of Azure. So PowerShell, so the SDK software development kit, and resource manager template. So this is the ARM automation. This is interesting.
Okay.
So command line interface is basically the PowerShell which Azure took it to the cloud version or to the browser version. So that is where the PowerShell now resides in Azure. So if somebody doesn't have an environment, doesn't have a system with them, so then also they can go into the command line interface and they can run it if PowerShell is not installed in the system. So in the CLI itself, it has given you multiple options. You can have a bash script, you can have a PowerShell, what depending on your requirement, you can go for the one, whichever you're comfortable with. So the like I said, so the CLI is Microsoft's cross-platform command line interface for managing Azure resources. You can use it in your browser with Azure Cloud Shell, or if you install it, it is becoming again PowerShell for you. So if you have a normal PowerShell which comes, I think, inbuilt with Windows 10 and all, so you need to just download the Azure module and install it. So then your PowerShell will be capable of connecting to Azure and run your commands. So 2.0 is optimized for managing and administering Azure resources from the command line, and for building automation scripts that work against Resource Manager. So based on your Resource Manager, whatever you download that script, that also you can build it from command line interface. So once I have a proper script, I can run it to create as many virtual machines as I need. So use the Cloud Shell to run the CLI in your browser or install it like I read before. And it is an interactive browser accessible shell for managing Azure resources. So basically I'm talking about the same thing in multiple ways. So it provides the flexibility of choosing the shell experience that suits the way you work. So Linux users can opt for a bash experience, while Windows users can opt for a PowerShell. So based on your comfortability, we can go for that. Okay, so these are some basic functions which are available in command line interface. I'll go through this and I'll talk a little bit about this JMS path also. So what is JMS path and how we can use it? Okay, so let me quickly open that. Okay, so again, going to our Azure portal. So if you see at the top, there will be a greater than icon with underscore. So that is the cloud shell. And if you're clicking on it, you will be taken to a small window below, and it will be asking like you need a storage account. So basically what Cloud Shell is doing is it will give you a storage account where all your files and everything which you're doing through the PowerShell or doing through the CLI will be stored. So you can go ahead and create a storage account here. So since here your storage account will be used for minimal usage, like you won't be storing big files or huge files here, so it won't have that much cost and all. So it will be regular cost only will be applied. And once you click it, you can see like you have a cloud drive has been created with the particular subscription and resource group and everything. And if you see here, like batch is selected by default, you can change it to PowerShell if you need. And anytime
can we not use the existing storage account which has been created before?
No. So here, if you see, like you can choose a subscription, and he's asking to create a storage account only. So it is going to be a different storage account which is having specific needs to be accessed using for the PowerShell commands.
Okay.
Okay, so you can always click the CLI documentation to see more regarding the particular commands and how they function and all. So we'll run through some basic commands, and okay, let me open that also. Yeah, okay. So this is how in CLI you will be creating a virtual machine, and also we'll go into that. So you can install it directly, or you can go into all the its commands and everything which will be available in the Microsoft articles and all. So sample scripts are there which you can take it up. You can see how they work. So like I said, so when you're going for PowerShell, almost everything is already available. You just need to get it to your local or anything and do a quick modification, and you can run it for get achieving your needs. Okay, so once you have this setup open, so you'll have like help command and AZ command given to you in
So,
starting. So A,
so this is in the portal itself, yeah?
yeah, this is in the portal itself.
So how did you bring this the command prompt, the
Here,
CMD
so
window?
if you, so here if you
Click
click
on
on
that.
this cloud shell, so
Yeah.
this will bring up the command prompt
Okay,
at the
just give
bottom.
me 1 minute. Yeah, just give me 1 minute. I'm just trying to. I have the portal basically in the. Uh, I'm just trying to open that.
Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah. So as soon as you click on that portal, the command.
Yeah, it opens up.
So it is asking, do you welcome to this cloud shell? Select
Right.
Bash or PowerShell. So I can use
Right.
PowerShell for Linux. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you can use PowerShell if you're comfortable. If you're comfortable with Bash also, you can use Bash, not a problem.
Okay.
Okay, so similar kind of commands only will be used. So here, if you see, like if you give help, it will tell you about all the groups of Azure commands and all the subgroups and all what is there under it. So here, if you see, like if you're going for like group help, it will tell you like, okay, under the groups, you have these many commands and all, and these many sub deployments you can do. So if you want to create a simple, say a resource group, we want to create with servers. So you can go like AZ group create
One
and
minute.
the name as servers and location West US2.
I think I can't see your screen anymore.
Um, okay, I'm resharing.
Yes, I can see now. Yeah.
Okay. So as I was saying, so you can create a simple resource group, say servers I can create. We're using this command. So AZ group create say servers and location I can give West US2. So the only
Okay.
problem with PowerShell is like in GUI, you can select from various things. So here you need to know the exact names. So otherwise it will
Okay.
be difficult to create it.
Okay.
Right? And the
So what
output.
is the why are we what is the benefit of creating by using the PowerShell command?
So normally what happens is as an admin, you always may not have to create just one VM or to just create two VMs and all. You will be needed to create say 50 VMs or 100 VMs or do some quick installations in multiple VMs. So that time you will need PowerShell. Every time if you're going through the portal and going on click, 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 click and all, it will take time. Right, so
Okay.
through PowerShell, I'll write the entire script. I'll just keep it. I'll just deploy it in a particular virtual machine, and it will be done. So I'll have that VM created in that particular environment.
Okay. So now if you execute this command, so does
Right.
it create the VM or it asks for the storage group and all these details?
So right now, this command will create this particular server's resource group. So I'm creating a group here,
Oh, okay. This is for creating
just a group.
just a VM basically.
No, no, just a resource group.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Just a resource group. Okay.
resource group. So I'm creating a resource group called servers, and the provisioning got succeeded. So the output will always come in a JSON format.
Okay. So under
Okay.
my resource group, now I can create VMs.
Yes. So once you have the resource group created, so the next command will be okay. So this is if you're giving the group list command, then you can see like now we have two resource groups. So one is the cloud self storage, which is created for our PowerShell, and one is the this one servers which I created just now.
Okay. Group list command in the sense again AZ group
Yeah.
list. So
So this way.
list the
So AZ group list. So that's it.
Okay.
So it is basically listing all the groups in your Azure
Okay.
environment. Okay. So if this one I want it in a tabular format rather than a JSON format, then I can give like hyphen output table. So it will come basically in a table format.
Okay.
Okay. So I can add queries and all if required. So I can do something called a like hyphen query, and from everything query just give me the name. So it will just give me the name. So this also even I can give like hyphen output table. So this also will come in a table format.
Okay.
So this query which is being used here is the JMS query. So let me show you quickly about that. Okay, so the JMS query, what it does is, so basically like say for example, I have the JSON data in this way. So I've got
Okay.
locations and I've got some state names and city names and all. And I want to get all the cities in Washington and sort it accordingly to their alphabetically. So what I'm
Okay.
going to do here is I'm just going to give locations, and condition is state is equal to Washington. Take the name of it and sort it by cities and join with a comma.
Okay.
Okay. So what I've done is, so what the result will be looking like is Washington cities, that is from here, and it will choose Bellevue, Olympia, and Seattle because those three belong to Washington, and this belongs to New York. Right. So if you're
Okay.
doing a simple query to get all your virtual machines or all your networks inside a particular resource group, and you need to sort it using some way to get a basically generate a report and all, so you can use this command.
Okay.
Okay. So this is how the output and all will look like. So next is we will try to put a virtual machine into our resource group. So second, again, easy virtual machine VM create. So name, I'll give it a name, say Linux VM, and put it in the servers group. And so these image, G, N, and all the parameters, and these are the values I'm passing. Okay, so Ubuntu LTS. So I'm going to create a Linux server and generate the SS keys and no wait. So no wait is given for asynchronous. Okay, so now what will happen is it will
So what?
basically create, yeah.
Okay. Why are we giving this no wait? What does it does actually?
If you're giving wait, then it will freeze your screen and it won't do it asynchronously. So when you're
Okay.
giving just wait, or if you're not giving no wait, then it will freeze your screen and it will wait
Okay.
for the job to complete. So if you're giving
Yeah.
no wait, it will do it asynchronously.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now, like if you go to the portal, you can see like we have a cloud shell storage which US got created, and in that we have a storage account also, and we have the servers resource group. Okay. So in the storage account, if you go under files and all, so here you can see all your commands and everything. So we have 6 gigs of storage given here, and I'll have all my files and everything inside this cloud console folder.
Okay.
Okay,
Can
so
you go
this
to
way,
that command again? I'm just trying to.
yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever we are doing in the portal, so internally the Microsoft or the Azure is doing it using this commands only.
Okay. But are also all these commands get stored in the storage group, which is created when we open for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is asking us to create a storage group, or it automatically does if we not create it.
No, so without creating a storage group, you can't proceed from this screen. So if you see here, create storage or close. So you need to
Okay.
create a storage account basically for it.
Okay.
Okay, so and in the storage account, it is just using a file service, a file share, which is like we saw yesterday, and in that it is having a folder. So inside the folder, it will keep all your files and everything. So next thing is like, so say for example, I am running a command to generate a report, then that file will be placed in this particular folder.
Okay.
Okay, so inside the servers, if I go
But
and see,
how
like I have, yeah,
it is bit difficult to remember the name of the, because when we create from the portal, it automatically gives the server name, how to spin. If you go to that command
yes,
again,
yes,
it says that
yes,
the Ubuntu LTS. That's the
yes,
same
yes.
way. Does it gives in the portal, or it gives in a different way?
Same way. So what happens for the people who are comfortable with PowerShell? So they will have all this information in somewhere in handy.
Okay,
So
they
basically,
save this
yeah,
information.
yeah, or they'll get it from the internet and they'll just paste it. See, the main thing in PowerShell is like if I want to create 100 Ubuntu servers, I don't need to type it 100 times. I just need to create it once, the command, and that command I'll save it as a PowerShell file and I can just fire it away.
Just
Or
just run
here,
like
Yeah,
Okay.
or here itself, like I can have it, like I can just copy paste it and run it multiple times. Okay, so I'll show you a command from GitHub. So how a full Azure VM command looks like. So it will be really good. Okay, so going into the so resource group, so servers. So if you see, like our VM has got created, our security group got created. So public IP has been added. So NIC card, VNet, and a managed hard disk has been created. So
Okay.
all
So
these options, yeah,
by running that one command, it creates everything here.
it creates everything here. Yes.
Okay. Is there any possibility, like, can we have a Azure account created and then can we try once in a while all this? Because I don't want it to mess around in my environment, the
Yes,
Azure.
yes, right. So for that, that's what I'm saying. So once I am almost through with the course, so you can create a no free trial Azure account. So you can get a free trial from Azure so anytime. So if you see here, you can go for a free account. Okay, so basically they will ask for a credit card. So one card you can use only once. So that is the issue. So for that card, they will be charging you for like some 2 rupees and all, and you will get a 12 months of free services. But
Okay.
you will get some $200 in your account for 30 days. Okay, so in that 30 days, you need to use up that $200 or it will get expired. So
Oh,
that
okay.
time you can go through all the things which I am covering. So because now if you are creating it
Yeah, yeah.
and say
For
for
30
example
days
we are
only.
not, yeah, so if you are not having the class or it is getting delayed due to some reason, so again you will be in again you need to use a different credit card. So that's the only way. So what you
Okay.
can do is like once you are through, you can create a free trial account and you can use it.
Okay. Now, what I'll do is I'll try to create one
Okay.
for today or something. I'll use a different credit card, and after, if it is expiring in 30 days, then we can use another one.
Sure, definitely. Okay,
Okay, so
so
we'll try and do it. But it will not,
yeah,
I mean, after 30 days, it will not charge us automatically, yeah?
no. So what it will basically do is after 30 days, if you're not going for a full subscription, it will start deleting your resources. Whatever you have, it will delete it.
That's fine, absolutely. It can get
Yeah.
deleted.
So normally what I advise my students is like, if you see here, if like at least if we are till storage and all, so then if you create an account, it will be useful because you'll have the
Yeah.
virtual machines and you'll have the, because in virtual machines you'll have a lot of things. So this we are talking about today. So tomorrow we'll see networking. So tomorrow,
Okay.
then next day we'll see scaling and all. So just give me 3 to 4 more days. So once we have
Yeah, no
through
problem.
this, so it will be easy for you. Because in this one, building a highly available application, you're going to do everything. You're going to create a network. You're going to put a security group into it. You're going to put a virtual machine inside that. You're going to create availability set. So all the things you can write out immediately.
Okay.
Okay, and like I said, you just need to give like even 1 hour of your personal time to this also will be fine. You'll be able to understand everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So where was I? Yes. Okay. So because in the portal also this will always look like this only to you. So this is I'm taking the screenshot from the portal only. So that's why.
Okay.
Okay. So okay. So we created all our resource groups and all our resources using CLI right now. So if you go into the deployments, you can see like it is still deploying because it's just 4 seconds. So it may take like almost 10 to 15 minutes to get it deployed. Okay. So this is your basics of CLI. So next thing is using a PowerShell. How do we do it? Okay. So this is what we did just now. Okay, demo. So next is PowerShell. So PowerShell you'd be already familiar with. So it is basically a command prompt or a enhanced command prompt of Windows using which you can write commands and all. You can write scripts, basically PowerShell scripts to execute actions or execute set of commandlets. And same thing you can do for Azure also. So Azure PowerShell provides a set of commandlets that you use with the Azure Resource Manager model for managing your Azure resources. You can use it in your browser with Azure Cloud Shell, the one we saw before, or you can get it installed in your local machine to any PowerShell session. So use the Cloud Shell to run the Azure PowerShell in your browser or install. Okay, same thing I repeated twice. Okay. Okay, so similarly for PowerShell also, okay, let me show quickly. Okay, so if you have latest version of Windows PowerShell, you can get the Azure PowerShell installed from here, or from the Windows PowerShell itself, you can give like ps-add Azure RM account, so it will get the Azure modules directly downloaded to your PowerShell also. Okay, so once you have the PowerShell, so this is the command actually. So save module Azure RM and can give a path, or install module Azure RM, and it will get your the Azure module for your PowerShell. Okay,
So I'll
so
run this command in the cloud shell, yeah?
no, not in the cloud shell, in the your local PowerShell. So if you see my PowerShell here, uh,
Okay, so I'll run the
yeah,
this command in the local PowerShell. Okay.
yeah. So if you run this command in the local PowerShell, it will install the Azure module into your PowerShell.
Okay, let me try. I mean, this is I can do this command for Mac as well, right?
Yes. So do you have a PowerShell in Mac right now?
I do have iTurn basically.
Okay. What you can do is you can try it out in your free time. So because
Yeah,
I
okay.
need to finish this right in another half an hour we need to complete. So that's right.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll share you all this material. So just give it a try in your free time, like over the weekend or something. So it'll be easy for you. Okay. So see, I'm not going to write any code right now. So everything is already available in GitHub. So you
Okay.
can go to this, say for example, this MyPifer guy's link. So Azure VM RMVM is there, and he's having a small script to run the particular to deploy a particular virtual machine. So you can like just download this particular file, or you can again just copy or save it, and you
So
need to unblock it.
okay, so when
Yeah.
I run this, when I run that PowerShell command in the PowerShell, then my RM module gets installed for my PowerShell, yeah?
Yes, yes. So your Azure module gets installed. Okay,
Okay.
so Azure resource module RM.
Okay, it's
Okay.
added, yeah. So in the resource module, it is having all the commands to
Yes, yes. Creating Azure and creating a virtual machine and everything. Okay, so now if you go to this particular blog, say blog of in GitHub, so he's having lot of PowerShell commands to create RM virtual machines and all. So this is a simple one which will just create a virtual machine for you. So you can just save it or no, download that particular file, and you need to unblock it because it came from internet. So first you need to log into your Azure RM account. So once you click on this, it will open up a small window asking you to log into Azure. So this way, and once you have logged in, so it will show you about your environment details, basically your subscription and whatever you have here. And then, so when you're going to run this PowerShell script, which you downloaded from internet, right? So here we downloaded it. So I'm just right clicking on this raw and giving save link as. So if
no,
I
no,
give a
one
save
minute.
link as,
I'm just getting. So once you go to this GitHub folder, I mean GitHub
yeah,
URL. So
yeah.
this URL, how did you try to open it? From the Cloud Shell or from the internet?
No, no, this is in browser only.
Okay, so how did you get this URL in the from the Cloud Shell? Okay,
Yes,
like
no, no, no. So this like you can just Google it out. So you can say like Azure RM or Azure virtual machine PowerShell
okay,
script. So
okay,
these are the some of the URLs which will come up in GitHub and all. Okay,
okay,
so for Windows thing, this MyPifer will have some good PowerShells, and for Linux and one, there is one guy called Jenkins, so who will have some Linux PowerShell commands and all for Linux VMs.
okay,
So he will have option to deploy it also. So I'll show that in one of the slides it is there.
okay,
So this command you can save it to your local, and you
okay,
need to unblock it because it has come from internet. So
okay. But
then
this
you'll
is a
have a
PowerShell command, yeah? This is a PowerShell
yeah,
command where I'll be saving it for creating a new VMs
yes.
instead of using the previously the command which we used. It is also a PowerShell command, correct?
Yes, but that is in the CLI, Azure CLI.
Yeah. Azure Cloud
Yes,
Shell.
yeah, Cloud Shell. So there also you can use this command also you can use there. You can save this file, upload it to your cloud server, and you can fire it from there also. But
Okay.
it depends on how you want to use it. If you want to use your local PowerShell, you think it will be faster, or you think you're comfortable with that, then that is fine. If your internet connectivity is good and all, you can use the other one. Okay, so depending on your requirement, you can do it. I'm just showing you the capability that it can be done from any of the
Either
particular
ways, yeah, yeah.
components.
Okay.
Okay, so first you need to log into your account. So this is basically how we do it. So basically, like I'll fire this PowerShell PS1 script, and it will ask for these parameters. So I'll give the server name, resource group, and everything, and username and password I'm specifying. So here it is not asking you credentials to connect to your VM. It is asking you the credentials where you are going to create the VM.
Okay.
Okay. So once I give the credential, it will create me a resource group, say servers, location, it is giving West US2, so provisioning state is succeeded, and resource ID is also there. So now if I go back to my resource groups and servers, okay, so this one, the no deployments is there. Yeah, so this is giving some kind of warning. So output object of time will be modified in the future release. So that's fine, not a problem. Yeah, so now if I go into my server, so I can see like I have a network setup, I have a virtual machine setup, I have an NIC card setup, and the IP address also is set up. So all these commands, whatever he is doing here, so all these commands are specifically there in the PowerShell. So let me quickly see if I have that PowerShell with me. Right now I don't have it, so we can check it out in the net. So I'll show you a different one where you'll have some more things into the PowerShell.
Okay.
Okay, so next we will see is a little bit of VM agent and extensions. Okay. So before going into that, so what are VM agents? So basically, when you're deploying virtual machines in Azure, so as an admin, it is not a good thing for you every time to log into Azure and check things inside it. Right, so it will be more better from your wherever you stand. If there you can pull some data from Azure and you can do something with your virtual machines and all. So basically, this is done by your agents. So we have two agents, that is the Windows Azure Guest Agent and the telemetry services. So Guest Agent is something which does all your provisioning and all your deployments and all into the Azure virtual machine. So say for one simple example is which we will do it also. So I'm going to create a virtual machine in Azure, a Windows VM, and I'm going to make it a web server. So basically, to make any machine a web server, you need to install IIS into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a PowerShell which will install, which will add a virtual machine, which will add a Windows VM, and it will deploy the IIS into it. So as simple as that. The PowerShell will do these two things only. And this script, I'll save it so that I can run it for multiple virtual machines. I'll just change the names or change the particular network and all, and I can run it multiple times to achieve it. So that I'll show you how it can be done. Or even if like I already have a virtual machine, I want to make it IIS, so that also how to do it, I'll show you.
Okay, so the guest agent is mainly responsible for deploying the
deploying whatever code snippets or any kind of feature into your guest OS.
Okay, when we say guest OS, whatever the VMs we create, or any VM.
Yeah, whatever the OS is deployed into the VM.
Okay, yeah. Basically on the basically on the VM we are just deploying it.
Yes.
Okay.
So and telemetry service is something. This is already running inside your VM. This is the one which will be giving you all the monitoring data from the virtual machine. So I'll show it that also. Okay, so going into the demo, let me show you quickly. So if you RDP into one of your VMs, maybe the one which we created now, so you'll see like in your services, you'll have these two agents running. That is the guest agent and the telemetry service.
Okay.
So here, then what we can do is we can go into the server. So in the server, there will be something called extensions. So if you see here, there is extensions. And inside the extensions, we have something called the BG info already deployed. So this, I'm not sure if you have seen this. If you log into your virtual machines on your desktop itself, you'll see the information regarding the machine. So maybe the host name, how the processor is performing, and also those things will be shown up in the desktop itself. So that is done using this particular script. So it is not very complicated. They basically have a PowerShell script deployed into the C drive. And what this BG info does, or what it will be doing is, in the background, they will be running the script, and the script is generating you that information on the desktop. Okay. So similarly, you can basically like, if I go into extensions, it will be much more clear. Okay, so what we can do is we can add multiple extensions. We can add third-party extensions. So there are a lot of extensions available in Azure, which are built by third-party organizations. So the basic one you can see here, like Microsoft Anti-Malware is there, or Octopus Deploy Tentacle is there. So PowerShell DSC, this is the common one which is being used. I'll show this. So apart from this, so Puppet Agent, Chef extensions, all these things will be doing some or other kind of scripting activity in your particular Azure. So we have one something called a custom script extension. So basically, like if I have a PowerShell to do something, then I can deploy it in Azure and I can get it running.
But this is on the VM, yeah? We are doing this on the VM.
Yes, yes. So till now I'm in IaaS only. I haven't gone to PaaS. Okay, so everything is related to a virtual machine. Okay, so I can go into this new resource. I can just search for custom script extension and I can go into it. I can create it. So basically what it will ask is, it will ask me for a file, in a script file which needs to be run. So what I'll do is I'll go into my normal PowerShell and I'll say create a hello world.ps1 and I'll just name it, like I'll give the command like create a new item of file, just create a new file in the C drive with the name as text.txt and put the value hello world into it. So this is a simple example to demo you that this how this can be possible using extensions. So without going into the virtual machines, I can create a file inside the virtual machine using extensions.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll save it and I'll upload it to that particular path where it was asking for the file.
Okay.
And once it is done, it will get deployed. So if you see this deployment in progress will come. And once it is deployed, it will show up here, provisioning succeeded. So now if you go into your, okay, so this is again the same status, provisioning succeeded and all detailed status you can see. So now if you go into your particular virtual machine into the C drive, you can see like there's a test file created. And if you open it, it will have the hello world into it. So,
like this, I can create a PowerShell command for any kind of deploying a component or MSI or anything.
Yes, exactly. So basically, your SCCM tool or your any kind of reporting you want, or you want to generate some report and keep it in one place for a particular team to consume. So all these things you can achieve using this. So sometimes, like even you may not be the one doing it. Maybe some other team will request for this, and you can ask them to develop the script and give you, and you can create extension with that. So that also happens in organizations.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a simple example to show you that without going into the VM, you can configure the VM also.
Okay.
Okay, so next is PowerShell DSC. So DSC means desired state configuration. So basically, like say for example, I have deployed a Windows machine and
no, I'm sorry for interrupting. You know, we spoke about the guest agent is responsible for installing, and what does this telemetry service does?
So telemetry services is basically the one which is pulling out all the monitoring information. So how the CPU is performing, how the the memory read and write is happening. So all those things, it is pulled by the telemetry agent. So we will go into that in the monitoring class.
Okay.
Okay, so coming back to the PowerShell DSC. So basically, like what PowerShell DSC does is, its name is desired state configuration, and its job is to bring your virtual machine into the desired state for which it was created. So simple example is like, say for example, I have created a web server, I have deployed IIS into it, and due to some of the other reason, the IIS service was stopped. Maybe somebody went into and stopped it for some reason, or some of the other reason the IIS has stopped and the machine is now down. It's not up and running. So what I can do is I can fire this PowerShell DSC from my portal and make that server up and running. I can again enable the IIS into it, or if it is not installed, I can install the IIS into it. So that way I can. So the desired state is it should have IIS and it should be running. So if it is not in that state, that means I can use my DSC to bring it to that state.
Okay, bring it up basically.
Yeah. So
bring it up or bring it to the working condition.
Yeah. So whatever state I need it. So if I want IIS to be there, I want some other feature to be enabled, I can do it using PowerShell DSC.
Okay.
So basically, it's a 4-step process. So first you will write the script. So let it be a simple Windows Server PS1 script. So once you have the script, when you put it into the PowerShell DSC, so it will compile it to a MOF file. So basically, this is a managed object file. So once it goes into the managed object file, okay, so here you need to understand that whatever scripts you're running, It could be in a Windows machine, it could be in a Linux machine, it could be in a some other OS machine, right?
Okay.
So we don't have control over the OS, and as an admin, you can't write scripts for each and every OS differently. So that's why they have a simple manage object file format, which any kind of OS will understand that this is a manage object file or MOF file, and it needs to be executed like a PowerShell or like a bash file.
Okay. Where this
So
console will be there on the Azure?
yeah, so I'll go into that. Okay,
Yeah.
so once it is converted to a manage object file, so you can push it or pull it to your target server, and you can apply the desired state configuration. So okay, so let me see if I have anything. Yeah, so this is what we talked about, custom script execution we saw.
Okay, this is the PowerShell DSC. It
Yeah,
is used only for IAS or any conditions like, the server is down, I can run this and bring it up.
yeah, anything, you can do it in any way. Okay, so basically it's
Execute is
a,
like a recovery, yeah? Or
yeah, it's again a PowerShell script, so you can do anything if you want with the PowerShell script. Right, so everything about a Windows machine, everything about a Linux machine is there in their PowerShell or their bash script. So every command and everything. So whatever command you want to run in the virtual machine, so instead of going into the virtual machine using RDP and running it inside that, you are able to fire it from here. That's the main concept.
okay.
Yeah. So these are the 4 steps. Okay. This one I can show you. Yeah. Okay. So basically, like you can go into your Windows PowerShell and you can do something like a start snippet. So normally, if you see, all my PowerShells will be in admin mode running. Okay. So you can start snippet. So in the snippet itself, you'll have something called a DSC configuration. Okay. So again, you can get this code from the internet, but in PowerShell also they have a simple script provided to you.
Okay.
So once you like click it, you will get all this entire particular PowerShell script. So if you see here, they have something called a name of the configuration, then nodes and all are there. So basically, if I want to deploy it in multiple virtual machines, then I can give here multiple virtual machine names. Okay. So say for example, like the host names of the different virtual machines I can give here, or if I want to deploy it in the particular local machine only, I can give here localhost.
Okay.
Okay, so even I can specify a command to get the where the role is equal to web role or something based on some query also I can do it. Okay, and which Windows feature you want to deploy. So basically you can put a Windows feature name and you can ensure it is present or not and give the feature name and deploy it. So if I want to deploy a file also, I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, so if I go into a particular virtual machine and fire up the PowerShell inside it, so here I can see like the web server is not installed in it. So it's just saying like it is available, but that check mark is not there. So it is not installed.
Okay.
Okay. So if I type the get DSC resource Windows feature syntax command, so I can see like my Windows feature command, that is this one, Windows feature command. It needs these all parameters. So it needs basically a name, credential, depends on, and ensure, and include all such features. So basically these are things it needs. So if you want to understand more regarding this particular command or this particular command, you can check on this out. Okay, so similarly for file friendly name also we can do that. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a simple PowerShell which will install IIS into a machine. Okay, so I can redesign this entire PowerShell into this way. So I'll give it a name, say IIS and localhost, that means run in my local server. And so when I say local server means whichever VM I'm deploying it to it, run it in there only, not in any other machines. Okay, so Windows web server feature and ensure it is present and name it as a web server and include all the sub features true.
Okay, but how will you know that which is my local host when you're running this from the PowerShell command outside the not even logging into Azure?
That's what. So I'm not going to run it from my local machine. I'm going to run it using PowerShell DSC. I'll show that. So here I'm just creating the PowerShell file.
Okay.
Okay. So it's all like pieces of a puzzle. So once we reach the end, all the pieces will fall together into make the complete picture.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now like I have my localhost given and whatever details are needed for the IIS configuration, I'm putting it. So next thing I will do is I can do check for a get the DSC resource command. I can see like what all things are there. So if you see Windows process is there, Windows feature is there. So users I can manipulate, services I can manipulate, scripts I can manipulate. So a lot of other processes are there which I can use using PowerShell. Okay, so this is the definition, and here I'm just calling the IIS configuration file. So once I have this, what I'll do is I can fire it up in my cloud environment also. So I can like RTP to the server, I can put this file inside that, and I can go into the PowerShell there, and I can fire it up. So what basically this does is it will create me this MOF file, okay, localhost.mof, and it will put it in C drive work IIS. So this is what I have given here, and I'm inside the work folder, so it is giving me this MOF file. Okay, and here if I do a start DSC configuration -path.iis, so it will fire up this particular MOF file, and it will generate me a fully a web server with IIS. So now till now I haven't deployed it using DSC. Right now I just RDP into the server, and I'm running this command to show you that what it does basically in the DSC.
Okay, I mean you're doing all this in the basically in the VM itself.
Inside the VM, yes. So I've logged in into the VM, RDP to the VM, and in that I'm running it. So basically, if you see like in the VM itself, I have the start DSC configuration.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is now I'm showing you like all these things when I'm doing it using PowerShell DSC. It is going to do these things only inside the virtual machine.
Okay.
Okay. So similarly, I can add this command also to my particular script, and I can save it. Okay, so basically what this will do is it will define this particular configuration. It will call the IIS method, and once it is called, so this particular thing will be coming in, and I can start the DSC configuration with the particular path of IIS. So I can again give a wait or no wait depending on my requirement. So if I run the script, so same thing, this will do entire thing in the virtual machine. So it will apply the configuration, it will generate the MOF file, and it will start the installation. So now we can see that it has been installed in my particular virtual machine. So now if I want to run this script using PowerShell DSC, what I need to do is I need to go into Azure. I can go into search for this PowerShell DSC in the new resource, and I will give a create. So here it will ask me to select my file. Okay, so it is asking URL for the zip package defining the DSC configuration. Okay.
Okay, basically, so each and every time if I wanted to run this DSC, I have to create the file first on the VM, and then I have to go to that resource group and then select the file. Yeah.
No, you create the file in your local, and you come into your portal, go into Azure PowerShell DSC configuration, and here you upload that file.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So this is the basic Windows Server file. So if you want to make it a little bit more interesting or a little bit more powerful, so you can like create a full year servers. You can give it a virtual machine name. You can give a storage account name. So all these things you can configure. So basically, what I'm going to do is using DSC. So my virtual machine will be there, and inside the virtual machine, I'm going to deploy this particular Windows Web Server ps1.zip. Okay, so here if I go into my storage account, okay, so I'm just taking my storage account name here and I'm running this. So once I run this, so what it will do is in my Windows PowerShell DSC folder in my storage account in the blob service, I am seeing this. So inside this, I'll have my PowerShell1.zip created. So this zip file I need to give in my DSC configuration. Okay, so this is the one, Windows Web Server ps1.zip. This is where it is keeping all my files and this resources. Okay, so now if you see like the extension has been provisioned, so Microsoft PowerShell DSC, and the provision has been succeeded. Yes, I can go to the detailed status and I can check it out. And same way, like basically what we did is
because we have added that file and uploaded it, and then it is comes here in the extension.
Yeah, so here we did it here. So here you can select your file, modules or script, and you can give it whatever other name or something for a configuration and all. And if you give OK, So here it will start to do all this deployment and everything, and it will generate you this entire script and all.
Okay.
Okay. So here, like, this is a little bit complicated. So if you feel like you are not able to achieve it or anything, so you can always reach out to me. So otherwise, like, I'll also share with you a simple PDF. Yeah, okay. So this is a text file. So I have the PDF generated. I'll share that with you. So here, this will have all your information. So if I go into DSC,
Okay.
next. Okay, so here, like, it will be explaining like exactly like how you need to go through the DSC and how they work and all, and how the scripts are getting created. So everything will be available here. Okay, so you can
Okay.
just give it a quick read and you can understand like, okay, this is how the DSC works. So whatever I am showing you in screenshots and all, everything is documented here. Okay, so you can go through it and you can follow it. Just you need to go follow it, and accordingly you will see this. So working with the partial DSC extension and all, so everything is available here. Okay. Okay, so this is basics of how a PowerShell DSC works.
Okay.
Okay, so next thing we will look into a little bit of ARM templates. So ARM templates, exactly like they're pretty easy. So we already saw this once. So for every server, when you are after it is deployed, you can go into the automation script, and here you can see like the automation script is already there, and you can get it in the CLI version, CLI 2.0 version, PowerShell version, .NET version, even Ruby version also you can get it. And from here you can download it, or you can directly deploy it to create you another virtual machine. Okay, so you can alter the particular values here, so you can download it, or you can, if you click on the deploy button, it will take you to a custom deployment where you'll
So
see
we
the
are
particular things. Yeah.
okay. This one we are doing by using a template which is already there in the VM. I mean Azure portal itself.
Yeah, so not a template. So basically, like, I have already created servers, right? So I'm
Yeah.
going into my existing server, and I want to create a copy of that server. Say,
Okay.
normally this will come into play when your dev team needs that. I need a copy of the production environment
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
working.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, or your testing team needs one. So that time you will go into this virtual machine, and you can go into the automation script. So here you will see all the entire resource group available here.
Okay.
Okay,
But is
and
that
this
possible to
entire
create VM in the same resource group with the same name or
it will be again confusing for you. You can have like SRV1 and SRV2. So maybe,
okay.
so 1 and 2 is not actually a good way of naming. So depending on your requirement, you can have it. So maybe like a dev server 1 or a dev server 2, or dev server primary, secondary. So like that you can create it.
Okay.
Okay, so basically all your parameters will be here, and using any language you can deploy it. So once you click on deploy, it will take you to a custom deployment where you can specify again, so what name you want to give, and what is the network interface you want to give. So all these things you can specify here, and any extension if you want to give also, you can do that. And you can see it's not giving a OK button or create button, it's giving a purchase button. So basically, when you're deploying it, Microsoft Azure assumes that you
You are
have enough
purchasing a new VM.
money to purchase it.
Okay.
Right? So it will ask you for a terms and condition and license agreement and all. So if you just select it, you can do it. So also there are a lot of quick start templates available in GitHub. So you can check these out also. So these will be like already they will have the particular PowerShell or the templates ready. So you can go for say Azure ARM for IIS and web deploy. So web deploy is nothing, basically you'll have a button here in GitHub itself for web deploy. So if you click on it, it will take you to your Azure account. Or if you want to go for Ubuntu, so this is the Jenkins masters place. So if you deploy to Azure, or if you click visualize, what it will do is it will show you in a ARM visualizer where how your
What is
resources are,
happening?
like a flowchart kind of thing. Okay, and if you click on deploy to Azure, so basically it will take you again to custom deployment where you can select, okay, deploy me to this resource group, or create a resource group, give it a location and any admin username and all you want to give, you can give it, and Windows version, whichever you want, you can specify. So all
Okay.
these details are actually configured in that particular script, that PowerShell.
Okay.
So once you accept and deploy, it will start your deployment and it will give you the particular virtual machines. Okay, so if you come into the deployments and all, you can see like it is deploying all your virtual machines, IaaS and everything, whatever is there in that particular script. Okay, so always keep an eye on your subscription credit. So you may be running out of credits and all. So always keep an eye on that. So this is how you can use ARM templates to get your things deployed. So now if you see into your web servers resource group, so you have IaaS, NSG, IaaS virtual machine, public IP, NIC card, VNet, even a storage account also has got created.
Okay.
So since it is a Linux one, I think in the PowerShell they have one for an unmanaged one. So that's why you have a storage account also in which your virtual machine virtual hard disk might be there. So that's why they have named it like VHD storage.
Okay, but generally the storage account doesn't comes in the VM, right?
Again,
Storage
so
account
if
will be separately created.
yes, so if you need a storage account for your VM, you can have it. If you need it to be in a different resource group also, you can make that happen. So depending on your need, how you want to do it. Okay, so the resource manager is basically a logical combination of your resources. So physically they're not together. So you can have a storage account. So say for example, I have a virtual machine which needs to store some data into a particular storage, say blob storage. It needs to store some data. Some job is running, which is creating resource files and log files in some storage account. Then I need a storage account in my virtual machine, not inside my virtual machine, in my resource group.
Okay, now my question was when we are creating the VM last time, even though I mean, we create the storage account, so it will show inside my VM when I select the web, somewhere like servers. You have web servers and servers, yeah.
Yes,
So
resource group.
select,
So inside the resource group, you can see your storage account. So inside the VM, there won't be a storage account because inside VM it is like hard disk, right? Where
okay,
storage
okay,
account is something like inside Azure.
okay. 1 minute. Let me try to sync. Okay. So if I select my resource group, I can see.
Okay. So here, if I select my resource group, so this is the resource group icon. So if I select my resource group, so I can see all the resources which are available under my resource group.
Okay.
Okay, okay, let me quickly go there. Should be able to find the one. So if I am going into a virtual machine, yeah. So if I'm inside a virtual machine, I can see my disks, extensions, and network sizes, and backup and all here. So I won't be able to see this thing. Let me see my resource group. Yeah. So in my resource group here, if you see, I don't have a storage account. Yeah, so for a virtual machine, just a virtual machine, I don't need a storage account.
Okay, so how did you open this page? I was seeing something else.
I just went into the previous folder, that is create and manage virtual machines on Azure, yesterday's class. And
Okay.
here in the particular Windows thing, so I need to go into, okay, so if I'm going into portal and I'm creating a resource and all, and I
Okay.
can go to the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
particular
yeah,
resource group. So
yeah.
here in the resource group, I can see my particular things getting created. So we need a storage account when you're going for an unmanaged disk. So if you remember when we deployed a Linux
Yeah,
virtual
correct.
machine, so
Yeah,
here we had the storage
yeah.
account, but
We
there
didn't
also,
select. Yeah.
yeah. So but here also, like the storage account is not available inside my this resource group. So if you see here, the storage account is not here. So storage account is there in my storage.
Okay.
Right. So if I go into my storage or that particular
Yes.
storage account, so inside this I have the virtual hard disk. Okay, so
Yes.
like I said, so all are separate entities. You can always interlink to them together or integrate them together to work together.
Okay. Now, why I got confused is why the storage account is showing here in the resource group, which only for for
Yeah.
that VM
So
which we got created.
right. So like I said, so it all depends on how you are managing it. So here, the PowerShell which we executed, it may have a storage account getting created
Okay.
inside this
Okay.
resource group only.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in our case, we kept the storage account in a separate resource group, my storage. So here he is keeping it in the same resource group, that is the web servers.
Okay, so then what's the point? Because storage account, what it is happening is, we already have the partition and everything and the while we're creating the VMs.
Yeah.
So why we should have a storage account as well in the same VM?
So so in the Linux one, what we did is we created a virtual machine and kept its hard disk in a separate storage account, which is there
Yes,
in a separate resource group. Correct.
yes.
So here he is creating a virtual machine and keeping its hard disk in a storage account, which is there in the same resource group.
Okay,
So
so
again,
can I use this storage group for any other VMs to communicate as well?
any other VMs to communicate, in the sense you can't use the same hard disk for another VM. But what you can do is, if another VM you are creating and you want to put that hard disk also in this storage account, you can do that. So say for example, I'm creating IIS VM2 and I want to put its hard disk in this storage account, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you go inside this storage account, basically it will look in this way. Like we saw it in the previous class, right? Linux VM. Okay, so if you go into the storage account, it will just have a virtual hard disk container, and inside it will have a virtual hard disk. So similarly, you can have multiple virtual hard disks, which will be mapped to different virtual machines.
Okay, on a one storage group, one storage
Yeah, in
account.
a single storage account also you can have. But if you remember, there are limitations. You cannot have more than 20 storage accounts, uniquely named storage accounts and all. Yeah, so those again you need to take into consideration when you're creating
20 or
it.
200?
200, sorry, 200.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one, if you see here, okay, so this is how we created a simple, where was I? Yeah, so we deployed a ARM template. So next thing is deploying a virtual machine from using a so what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to create a Windows virtual machine with Visual Studio installed on it. So this is mostly like your dev team will ask it. Okay, so similarly, I can search for a Visual Studio
Yeah,
Community
code
Edition, which is
generation.
free.
Okay.
Okay. So I can just click on create and give again the same details and give OK. So choose a simple SSD hard disk for them and give it OK. So now I'll have a Visual Studio, a virtual machine with Visual Studio installed in it by default. I don't
Okay,
need to
can you
come and
go
install
back to
it.
the slide one while you're trying to create a,
Yeah.
okay. So this one is so you search for Visual Studio in the Azure portal, correct?
Yes.
And then you're just selecting the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
It is
So you
like
can just
basically like, okay.
So you can search for any of the things which are available in the portal here. So I don't need to
Okay.
go into each and every computer or anything to find out. I can search for anything. So just go into this plus one. It will give you this search bar and all the things. So you can search for Visual Studio or PowerShell DSC or custom script exchange, whatever we saw till now. You can search for that. So if I search for a Ubuntu or if I search for a Microsoft say Data Center 2016, I can get that also. Okay,
Okay.
so select the first one. So it will open up the community edition on Windows Server 2012 or 2016, and you can give on create. So basically, it will create you the Visual Studio, virtual machine with Visual Studio installed in it.
Okay.
Okay, so once I have a Visual Studio installed, so then what I can do is I can deploy a small web application into Azure. Okay, so I already have this web server created with all this IIS and everything running already. So what
Yeah.
I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same one. Okay, so I can go into deployments. I will check like, okay, the deployment has been succeeded. It's been 24 minutes. And in the extensions, I can see like there is already a setup IS instruction. So this has been deployed using PowerShell DSC. So when we ran that particular, what do you call it, ARM template, so it created a virtual machine with it and it installed IIS in it, right? So
Yeah.
I have a web server now up and running. So now I can go into my Visual Studio. So I can select a simple .NET, ASP.NET web application and give OK. So say MVC architecture, I'll give OK. And I have a basic web application created with the basic folders and everything. So this application, I can put a simple message like your application description or something. I can put a breakpoint and all in it. And I'll deploy it. I'll use a ISFTP path rather than Azure App Service. So this I'll show you in the web and mobile classes. So ISFTP I can give it, and I can go for a publish. So once I publish it, so you can get the publish by right clicking on it or going into file publish. So once I publish it, I'll get this web deploy command, and I can give my particular server's IP address, website, and system admin and all. I can validate the connection. So security certificate I don't have, so I'll just accept whatever it is giving me, and it's validating the connection, and I can deploy it. So I can go for it, save it as a custom profile, and I can deploy it. So now my build has been succeeded and my publishing has been succeeded. So if you see, like, it is getting the telemetry and performance monitoring also. So
Okay.
now if I put my virtual machine's IP address, I can see my ASP.NET application running. Okay.
Okay.
So this is how normally your dev team is going to deploy their applications into your Azure environment.
Okay.
Okay. So once they're deployed, so second thing comes into picture is how do they debug it? So if there is some bug or anything in their code, how do they debug it? So for that, we need to do some remote debugging. So again, in the code, like, we can go into the Cloud Explorer in the Visual Studio. So if you have a 2017 version, you'll have this coming into picture. So if you have a lower one, like a 2012 or anything, you need to download the SDK and install it. Okay, so here it will ask you for what is your cloud resource in Azure and all. You can give your subscription and apply. So, and it will show you all your data in your cloud. That is your storage accounts, your public IP address, everything, whatever is there in your subscription, it will show it here.
Okay.
Okay, so this is where you can go ahead and download the SDK for Azure if you don't have it.
Okay.
So with 2017, it will come by default. 2015, 2012 and all, you may need to download it. Okay. So in virtual machines, you will see your ISVM server 1 and some other virtual machine running. So our target is ISVM1, ISVM. So I'll just select it and I can enable debugging here. So what this does is when I enable it debugging, so basically it is opening a firewall port and it is putting a debugging extension into my virtual machine. So if I go into my web server right now and go into my security group, so I can see, like, firewall ports and all have been opened for this. File upload port is there. Okay, and if I go into my extensions, I can see, like, my PowerShell DSC has been added. So my IIS setup, and along with that, my Visual Machine, Visual Studio remote debugging module has also been deployed. Okay. So now once these two are done completing, so I can attach my debugger. So once I click on attach debugger, it will ask you to attach to which process. So basically I can say, like, W3, that is the World Wide Web process. I'll attach it. And once I attach it, my code is in debug mode now. So if I go to my application and just go back and come into the about page and all, so I can see, like, it is hitting my breakpoint. And so you may not be needing it, but just for your information, so this is how your debugging can be achieved in the remote web applications and remote servers.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so same thing, I'm just repeating. Okay, so in the theory part, so using the extension and all we saw, so what is a resource manager template? So in the state of time, so I'll share this with you. You can go through them when you have some little bit of free time. So terminology again, so what is a resource, what is a resource group, resource provider? So these are more important from an exams point of view, but you
Okay.
know the basic idea, what is a resource provider, what is a resource group and all, right? So what are the benefits if you deploy using PowerShell and all? So you asked about this. So you can deploy and manage and monitor your resources. You can manage your infrastructure. You can define dependencies. So everything, whatever you need, you can do that from here. Okay, so this is the demo we saw of deploying from GitHub and all. And we deployed a virtual machine for dev, and we deployed a web application from Visual Studio, and we saw some remote debugging. So this is the main, like, what I wanted to show here to my students is, like, what are the capabilities you get when you do from a PowerShell or when you do from a bash file or when you do from a Visual Studio. So how do you manage it? How do you do some development and how do you do some deployment and all? Okay. So next class we will go into networking, so which is a bit more interesting because this is actually being used in your virtual machine and also whenever you create a virtual machine, definitely you will put it in a network. So we'll go into networking. We'll see, like, how to set up a network security group, how to launch a virtual machine into an existing network. So how to work a little bit with DNS. So how to make the IP static, and a little bit of network security, of user defined routing and all, we'll see to.
Okay.
So any questions or anything?
No, I will go through this. Probably I might get some questions
Yeah,
in the couple of things. One is the PowerShell DSC maybe, or in the ARM template.
yes. Yeah, sure, sure. So I'll share you both these screenshots, the PPT as well as that particular file. So when you're free time, just go through it, just give it a read. It's pretty simple. It's simply simple words and all. So if you find anything you're having trouble understanding and all, just let me know. So I'll try to clarify your doubts in the next class.
Yeah, definitely will do it. All right.
Okay, Karthik. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Okay. Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you, Chandan. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you tomorrow then. Okay. Bye bye.
Sure, definitely, Karthik. Yeah.